All right, we solved the problem. So, for the folks at home, let's just pretend there were no technical issues. This is Shipbreakers, Stars Without Numbers Revised, episode 20, the start of the second season. We are going to jump right in here because the players don't know what goals to set because they're not quite sure where we're at. The bottom left-hand corner of the screen indicates that today is April 11th, 3200. And it should be noted on April 15th or any date past that where we stop, I will do the faction turn. So conceivably, at the end of this episode, I could owe a faction roll. We see a pile of ferrite dust just out of space, out of nowhere, followed very shortly by the Golden Goose dropping out of drill space. I was informed last episode that I called it a jump drive and jump space, but it's technically called drill space. That's okay. We know the science fiction. We're good. You appear out. You get communications from only one ship. There is a ship that is currently on the atmosphere of Leda. It is making a ballistic jump, so it's hopping straight up and letting the rotation of the planet pass by and then dropping back down at a new location to the west. That ship has the only computer system in the entire system that's connected to the exchange of light. There's no exchange of light satellites here. So it requests from your ship any exchange of light messages you have from whatever direction you were coming from and sends you whatever exchange of light messages it has. As it does that, Quentin, you get a mail from your grandfather. After the sensors resolve for a few seconds, the obvious aftermath of a nuclear blast and the death of thousands of psychics becomes apparent to you, which none of you had any idea about before you arrived here. Somewhere in the back of the ship, after having done a hyperboat race 8 days ago, the ship still drying off from its little escapade, just sitting there handsomely in the cargo hold where it's always been, but now with one race under its belt. We cut back to the bridge where the entire crew is slowly piling out of their cabins to figure out why no one's saying anything.
Captain.
Yeah. Minerva, what's going on?
I believe you should come to the bridge as quickly as possible.
He's there.
And I'll just, wherever you appear, the closest monitor will start appearing with like atmospheric readings and radiation readings. The little MINERVA hollow point, instead of displaying a little holographic MINERVA, it'll show Leda. And it'll have like a red section on a blue planet that shows like the detonation site.
Yeah, I mean, the color drains from Quentin's face. He's leaning into the monitor. Internally, he's starting to feel probably like when the Tenther touched him a little bit, sort of that rush of disorientation and compression and stretching of time as he tries to process what he's seeing.
I don't know how much anime you guys watch, but there's this thing that they do in anime that Studio Trigger did and Gainax before it, where they do the fisheye lens of looking at someone from above and their eyes are looking in different directions to indicate that someone's going insane. And I feel like Quentin is doing that fisheye lens for sure.
Very much so.
Captain, I'm not familiar with the topology of this planet. It does appear that this weapon was detonated in a settled portion of the planet.
It's the Academy. Is about all he gets out at that point. And then how recent?
Can I extrapolate from...
Make a science roll.
I'd be searching for any signs of life and trying to ID the other ship.
Okay. I will require a science roll from you as well for IDing the ship. Signs of life is not going to be a problem. There's definitely still life down there.
Science for us is no.
Oh no. Okay.
Wait,
I thought you meant no, like NO. I was like,
did I
so
get kicked from my
you
own
failed for
foundry
me
table?
too?
I think you did.
What the heck? I'm living that life, friends. I'm living that life today. You have a 9? No, we'll get to that in a second. Okay, 7. You detect that this ship is called the Expected Retirement, and it has an open communication system, so you can talk to it if you would like to. You detect that the nuclear blast is probably based off of normally for a normal system, it would take you weeks to figure this out, but you're an AI with, vast resources and ability to split your consciousness. You come to the conclusion pretty quickly that it was about 15 days ago, based on the half-life of what's going on in the atmosphere. It doesn't look like it was a ground detonation either. It looks like it was set off in the lower atmosphere directly above the Psionic Academy, based on the perfectly spherical circular area of effect.
I think the model that's floating of the planet with the red for the damage to the side of the planet, I think there's now like a dashed line that starts going towards the planet, and then a small flash to show you the airburst. And Minerva says, based on what I'm seeing on the sensors, I would approximate the detonation occurred 15 days ago.
I think Van-Vee's this is like our third rescue mission. He kind of knows our team. He's bringing the ship in to try to start seeing where the densest population is to see who they can save. And brings up the idea of, Cat Minerva, should we be reaching out to Expected Retirement? Should they be trying to do rescue mission as well? I mean, we need all the help we can get here.
Yeah, get all the information that you can get. We need everything that we can find. They're the only computers.
There are no major population centers. The Psionic Academy being gone means it's just like extremely small towns and ranches scattered across a vast grassland.
Yeah, the majority of the planetary population was in or around the academy where the airburst was.
Not the majority of the population necessarily, but like everything developed.
The majority of the psychics were.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And I guess Van-Vee would just open a broadband open communication to the leader in general, like just trying to figure out where people are at, where they should go to try to help.
You're not getting any answers from Lita, which for Quentin is not surprising given their predilection against technology. Without the Psionic Academy, there's probably not a single comm unit.
Yeah, that's where
on the planet.
everything would be. Everything.
It's just not how things are done. The Expected Retirement does open up communications. We see the background of the same bridge where Ethan Polk was brutally murdered and beheaded. And a man that brutally murdered and beheaded him is sitting in the chair. He's wearing a shirt that says, it's a black t-shirt that says security. Nowhere is his leather armor. There are still spikes on all the chairs, but the two like co-pilot and navigator seats are empty. There are still signs of bullet holes, which were there before the fight with Ethan, and blood on the bridge, and pictures for nudie bars on Omura 9. The man sitting in the chair says, thank God you're here. Captain Dutch Bokazis. Most people just call me Grid. I was here when it happened. I had a spike drill accident. I don't have any fuel. And looking at my readouts of your ship, I don't think you have a fuel bunker with spare fuel for me. But if you could send help for these people, if you could send for a ship with fuel to let me get out of here. I'm trying to do what I can for the last 2 weeks, but it's been a living hell.
The trajectory you said he was like going in and bouncing back?
He's actually jumping. He's doing a very efficient flight path of jumping over the radiation zone and coming down on the other side with as little piloting or use of energy as possible.
So
it's
it
like
does
he's
match
not
his
risking
story.
a ship flying through the radiation.
Is there anything that he would be like? Does Quentin recognize the places he might be starting and ending? I don't know if that.
I mean,
it just sounds like he's trying to dodge being irradiated.
Yeah,
you cross section it on the
somewhere
map.
Though
It's basically one small town to another.
Okay.
From one side of essentially. So for the folks at home, Lita is covered in toxic gas, and there's a ring of trees around one of the continents that essentially keeps the atmosphere filtered inside of it. And one of the big lead-in industries, I guess you could say, is expanding the tree line and then cutting the trees that are in the back to use as wood, and then planting new waves of trees to get further and further land, reclaiming the planet, essentially, with no use of technology, entirely naturally. It will take generations to do it, but it's taken generations to get here, sort of deal. He's jumping from like the easternmost point to the westernmost point of the circle that is habitable.
Yeah. Quentin probably butts in a little bit here. It says, look, I don't know who the hell you are. My name's Quentin Alexander Polk the Fourth.
Like I said, you can just call me Grid, Dutch Bacazas, Captain.
That's great. Have you been in contact with any locals? Is there anyone left in charge?
Yeah. There's several 100,000 people left. I wouldn't worry about that. You know, most of the planet wasn't affected. I think it must have been a pretty small nuclear explosion. I don't know whether it's some sort of natural phenomenon or if this was some kind of attack or an accident of some kind.
Nothing natural about
someone
this.
Trying a fission drive in the atmosphere.
Come on, that would never happen on Lita. You're full.
Like, yeah, insight the fuck out of this guy.
Yeah, he seems sketchy as hell.
Okay. What did we say that was? Talk something? Wisdom
I
talk?
think it's notice, right?
Notice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wisdom?
Minerva's monitoring comms, not saying anything. Would like to use the survey sensors to try to just identify where people are on the surface.
Sure. I mean, that's something you can do with no roll in the background.
I'd like to say I'm probably still piloting probably. Okay, stupid question. Do I know if the goose is protected from radiation? Like, if we're inside the ship, are we okay?
I mean, this much, yes. I mean, it's not like you could fly into a sun and be fine, but
yeah,
sure.
and like in terms of devastation and like total zonage, like it's like utterly like
the Psionic
uninhabitable
Academy
in that
physically
area,
lost.
like completely just a hole in the ground, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm probably still going to the academy unless Minerva finds another target, because that's Van-Vee doesn't have a lot of data.
Minerva's just checking to see if the people that it can see on the surface are far enough away from, are basically far enough away from the area of effect that they at least won't be getting any sicker.
Yes. This was an extremely low yield nuclear weapon.
So it's not a lot of like actual like lingering radiation at this point. It was just incredibly destructive.
Yep. It wasn't very dirty.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the term.
Vandorn.
Okay.
Van-Vee. You have a bad feeling about this guy. You are looking at someone who is looking at he's looking at you guys through a screen, and you get the idea that he's more like a predator sizing up prey rather than someone who is having a conversation. This is a extremely dangerous individual, and probably the only person you've gotten a vibe off of like this recently is the psionic mercenary you met.
Oh,
Slicer.
And didn't hire.
Slicer.
Yeah.
I was like, don't tell me, I'll get it.
This guy gives off. Slicer was like kind of affable and personable. This guy gives off a sort of professional vibe to you.
I think
Mute the mic.
because we're on cams too, Van-Vee probably equivalent of texts I mean, I don't know how you text Minerva. She just knows what I'm typing before I finish it. But text
I mean,
Minerva
you're-
and Quentin.
I mean,
and
you're
says
sitting at a
suspect number
console.
one. I basically say suspect number one while looking at him.
You get a text response. Suspect of what?
Quentin knows immediately, but
I'll just say terrorism. Attack.
Sorry.
Action? Question mark.
Are you all? Do you have something going on? You all look like you're looking down at
we're
your...
checking sensors. We're trying to figure out what the hell happened here. I mean, what do you mean? Do I have something going on? A goddamn fucking nuke just detonated on my home planet. What the hell?
Well,
Hey,
listen,
you're
Grid. From Lita. Oh, I see.
It sounds like you're actually doing okay keeping your jumps, but we can see, you're staying out of radiation fine. We're going to go to the planet first and check out for survivors, see how we can help. It seems like you're doing better than
Get
the
your
planet
ass somewhere and keep your signal on. How about that? We'll see if we can help you.
Looking at the Corsair Platinum, it looks like you're going directly into the radiation zone. I really have to warn you against that. Tell you what, why don't you come meet me out on the western edge of the ring? I'm putting down there in the next few hours. My calculations say you could be there within a day.
We get a loadout on his ship. What kind of scanning do we need for that?
I mean, you don't need any scanning for it. I mean, okay, so if you just want what the general hull type is, you can get that. If you want to check to see if he has any hidden cargo bays or like secret weapon systems, that will
what's his biggest gun?
So the problem is that will require a scan and a lock on, which he will notice. Like there's no hiding that.
Is that any different than like every time we've jumped into other systems and we get scanned?
No. He'll know you're doing it in the same way that you know when it happens to you.
Has he done it to us yet?
No.
Bugger. I think I hit the mute button and just say, I don't trust this motherfucker.
Yeah. No, I think that's spot on right now, Van-Vee. And Quentin will flick the mute button again and say, Grid, why don't you go where you said, and we'll try to meet you if that makes sense. We're going to see what we have to do. We'll see what we see. We'll be in touch.
Okay.
Quentin out.
Without scanning, you have determined that he is in a shuttle. Shuttle. Yes.
A lot of power and a lot of space.
Smaller than a frigate.
I don't think it even has a hard point for a weapon, technically.
Well, unless you
By
want
the
a more
way,
detailed
would
scan,
there-
we won't know if he's done anything unusual to it.
Well, I would point out that a
course.
shuttle and a fighter are the same thing. Just one of them has a gun and one doesn't.
Well, okay. I guess then, sure. I think the AC and the armor are like pretty different, right?
Right,
like,
but they're the
build
same
out.
hull class.
Yeah, all right. Okay. We're saying it's just I see.
Can a shuttle jump? I feel like I should know this.
Yeah,
Like jump
you
between
can put
systems.
a spike drive
can.
on a shuttle.
Yeah.
It won't be very big.
Would
guess
Quentin know I assume the Psionic Academy would have some sort of like secondary like retreat, like a place that they go for like meditation somewhere outside of the main
I mean, there
area
are
or
small
like
campuses, but there's no like secondary fallback.
okay. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to be like a specific fallback zone, but just like other facilities that might be official that Quentin thinks other people might congregate at. If
like a
anybody
like a
survived.
mountain monastery that's staffed by
Yeah,
a
like
dozen
legit,
people.
like or like
There are like a half dozen of them spread across the planet.
okay.
But they're mostly like they're for practical classes,
Mm-hmm.
like basing somewhere in the north and like going out and helping ranchers using your psionic powers.
Sure,
show,
sure.
like,
I
show
assume they'd have like
goodwill.
ranger stations or something similar like to that,
Yeah.
in terms of
So the other thing they're used for is for sort of a practice that's somewhere between confession and elections. Telepaths are sent out regularly in order to read people's minds, in order to determine the things they think they need and the things they actually need, and like determine the course of planetary governance based on, rather than ask people what they want and be lied to, they just read everyone's mind all at once. And
so this is what you want.
Yeah,
it's a very
exactly.
direct democracy in some way. We'll say that.
Well, just to be clear, they don't
I'm
necessarily
kidding.
they don't have
Obviously.
to do. They just determine their direction based on the information they get.
But it was just flippantly funny to say.
Just to be clear, the Psionic Academy is in charge and has
Right, of
fully
course.
shaped the culture of this
Authoritarian,
planet.
of course. Yeah. At least, you know.
The people of
previous
Lita thinks
to
this is totally normal.
Yeah, of course. Very beneficial for them. So, I mean, I guess Quentin would ask Minerva to scan those locations just to see if there's any extra congregation of population at any of them that might indicate like a handful of survivors.
I'll give them an indication of life signs at the given coordinates it gives me.
2 locations that have it. One is in the north and one is in the southeast side.
How many at each?
There are probably less than a dozen at each.
Okay. And you
they
get
are separated by hundreds of miles.
Yeah, I vote we go to whichever one is closer to this grid fella. He seems like he's the threat that's not done.
Fly over the blast zone, run detailed scans as we go, and let's head to the southeast location for now.
Proximity. We are already proximal enough to get all the readings necessary. Any closer isn't going to increase.
If that's the case, then yeah,
scanner resolution.
We go closer.
So here's the thing that makes this interesting. You will learn something by flying there, but Minerva has a point that, as far as you know, there is no reason to fly over it. But I, as a game master, know that there is something you would learn. So it's up to the two of you to resolve this in RP.
Quentin would go there, right? Like that's.
You have made it clear you're going to go there before I said that, which is why I mentioned it.
Minerva's stance has always been, here's my suggestion, but it's your decision. So if you're like, that's nice, we're going, then Minerva's not going to argue with you.
I feel like it's related to his like teleportation powers. Like he has to see something physically to be able to teleport to it. And that's like, he has to see this physically.
So I was going to say this beforehand too. I was going to before AP said what he said, but hey, Cap, where exactly is your family's farm located? Should we just go check it out just to be sure? Like
it's right now.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone.
Like
there's a little blip inside the red when you ask about his ranch.
One
Minerva
person,
just piling on Van-Vee's knowledge or lack thereof.
One person can make a intelligence notice check.
What's that?
I have a +3 to that.
Then I'm happy to have Van-Vee the pilot and try to notice it if you'd like. I've got a +1. Not that it matters. Quentin's going to be looking.
That's not a very good roll. Nope,
You're right.
That's not good at all.
Not a very good roll.
A 2 and a 1.
You are an expert. That means you can re-roll once an hour. That might be stars without numbers first edition.
You can get a Minerva roll if nothing else.
Well,
that's very resource expensive, and that is a different version thing. He gets more skill ranks when he levels up instead.
Well, I'm also I don't want to say this, but I'm also not an expert. You've just never changed the overlay.
That's because it's complicated to say half expert, half.
So as my half, I don't get this reroll thing. A true expert does.
Then I am going to describe to you all what you don't see. You fly over the flash ruins of the
Unless Diplomat lets me reroll this one.
Absolutely not. Not in any fucking situation would it allow that.
He starts negotiating with the sensors.
No. You have the ship pointing nose down towards the ground as the planet rotates past you. The ship is sliding towards the western horizon. You are scanning and scanning, looking for any signs. You're piecing together what happened, but what more can you determine than airburst nuclear weapon instantaneously wiping out a population? There's no evidence of what happened other than that. You turn to leave. You go. The camera cuts down to the planet. And we see that while life here has been eradicated, there are also weird clumps that look kind of like if someone was jumping over the radiation zone and then pushing people out of an airlock so they landed in the radiation zone after thousands of feet fall and then died instantly on impact and became a smudge of human goop.
Way to
And
go,
now-
Dunamis.
We don't notice
Now-
bodies.
You miss it because it's not very big and they're definitely not living anymore. Now I'd like to know, beginning of the session, what your goals are for this episode. Before you go meet with Grid or don't meet with Grid, or go meet with psychics or don't meet with psychics, or figure out what's happening on Lita, let's talk about goals. Just as a reminder, your long-term goals are: Quentin, find the high-tech Psionic Academy at a D10. Van-Vee, find your mother, D18. MINERVA Hasta, get enough resources attached to it so it becomes a multi-system organization, difficulty 10. And your crew goal is figure out what the riddle brought us to. I would definitely say that crew goal is no longer applicable, as are none of your short-term goals. So what do you have for me?
Gwen's short-term goal is to do what he can to help Lita.
Help Lita.
I think Van-Vee's short-term goal, given he's gotten the uneasy feelings from the Grid, is try to find some sort of proof that this guy's responsible.
So you want to find proof Dutch Bokazis is responsible.
We already did the travel. Did we do? It took us a day to get there.
Yes.
To Lita?
It takes you a day to get to Lita using Van-Vee's double speed calculations. 'Cause it takes 48 hours normally, and you do it in 20.
I was gonna,
Yeah, the 12.
say, I would like to potentially summon a shadow before, but at some point,
Sure, let's do it.
yeah.
But let's wait
Alright.
until we get the crew goal and Minerva's goal, because I'd hate for you to die before he makes.
Me too.
Strong start to season 2.
I want to say monitor the captain's mental health, but that's not exactly a measurable, achievable goal. um, hmm. Hey, Minerva's not suspicious of Grid. Minerva's just trying to figure out what Van-Vee was talking about. I think I'm going to go with help Van-Vee with his suspicions.
No, Minerva, it's more like counterproof Van-Vee.
I mean, look, some people like to have a devil's advocate. What's your crew goal, crew? Wow.
Save the psionic race?
Yeah.
Save as many people as we can.
Save who can be saved. Yeah, I guess.
We can certainly work towards it.
Yikes.
Just so you know, the psionic race is known as humans, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
the-
this is like
the-
we're a
the
natural
psionics.
phenomena.
Save the
Well, if we run it that
psionics.
way, I think our entire crew is doing a great job saving humanity all of season 1. Creating wars,
Doing the best we can.
Look, I can be a pretty dire person, but I have to say the wars were already going to happen. Maybe not the specific way or types of wars. They were always going to happen.
So the Psionic Academy is the single source of medication for psionics, right?
Correct. Now that meant that the drugs are grown all over the planet, but the refining and
Manufacturing,
processing of
yeah.
it is at the academy.
Sounds
So
like a pretty good goal.
could we do for a
Hmm.
crew goal to try to find a way to get the drugs flowing again to save psionics from burning out?
I feel like if you just say save the psionics, that covers so much more than the drugs. The drugs really narrows it for you.
Do we
I'm into that.
want to go with save the psionics?
Are any of you scientists with a background in medicine and manufacturing?
We might have one on board.
No. Yeah, save the psionics makes sense.
No, you absolutely do not. You have a
hospital administrator?
manager.
Yeah.
I don't know how good she is.
She hadn't practiced with the patient in 18 years.
Well,
Yeah, I like using save the psionics.
You don't have the capability to create an industrial base to feed the psionic population. It's not, that's way outside the three of your capabilities. And it's definitely outside both of your doctor's capabilities, one of whom isn't even a medical doctor.
all right.
And
I guess
He's
if we
a doctor
do-
of history.
And if we do save the psionics, that could tie into your long-term goal and push us to the other academy. Try to see if we
That's
can
true.
find somewhere else I can make it.
I'm into it.
I need to shoot a message
I
to
mean,
Zach
you know
and tell him to
Quentin's gonna do that.
specialize in medicine refinement.
Yeah, he's currently specializing in graduating high school.
Accelerated.
I do want to just bring it back. It's okay if you don't want to touch it, but I do want to mention that at the beginning of the session, I did say that Quentin got a message from his grandfather.
I do want to get
Okay.
open the message. Yeah,
Alright.
like that's the thing. The time skip, like we skipped to the planet already. We already
Yeah.
like scanned things and flew. I was like, oh wait, no, there are
there
a
was
couple
a lot
things I wanted
happening.
to do before I get there.
Your grandfather, councilman on the board, no longer. Your father runs the facility, but your grandfather is kind of formerly ran it. Now, kind of shadow runs it in the background.
Mhm.
He has a bottle and a tumbler on the table. He's pouring it. You can see the beauty of Lita behind him out of a huge glass window. He sighs heavily and says, Quentin 4. I understand you want to contest your censure. I think that's foolish. I've told you once, I've told you 100 times. Every planet has its own policies. Every organization has its own structures. What happened to you being scanned with a security guard was perfectly legal. In the system that it happened, everything there is perfectly legal. We have no basis to reprimand someone whose job it is. Yes, it may have been to trick people, but that's just how law enforcement and humans work. They're not like us. We're different. Because we can understand each other and other people. Look, you've done enough gallivanting. Just come back to lead. All right? I'm sure that this thing will blow over. There are some rumors that I'm hearing from passing ship captains about drug wars. And this Mr. Kodo individual is very shady. Just come home, Quentin. Everything will be better when you get.
Yeah, if Quentin's reading this after seeing everything, which he is, he's, I mean, just tears, right? Like just tears, like utterly breaking down. And if this happening before
there's
they,
a video message, just to be clear.
right? Yeah. I understand. Yeah, he's inconsolable. Like obviously the line, everything will be better when you're here. Like nothing's better, nothing's good.
Where did you watch your message?
He would have watched it in the bridge, essentially, like right after the scans and with everything, like he's just going to open it. Yeah. The two of you all would be there for that.
I think I'm silent, just going to one of the two locations. If no directions given, I just pick the north one, I guess.
So you're going to go to the north location rather than rendezvous with Grid at the west side.
Whichever one was closer to Grid, I think, is what
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I did say that.
technically. And we could tell him to just stay where he was.
Okay. All right, you head to the northern location.
And Quentin would also say to Van-Vee, if he moves, to like call it out.
You
Keep an eye on Cap.
You begin setting down in a sort of grasslands area, mostly flat, very little roll to these hills. Right next to small, like, clay building, not even bricks. It has that sort of distinctly Tex-Mex historical feel to it, made of local materials, no cement, nothing advanced like that. Pure cowboy movie background. There are a couple people out here, and all 12 come out as you sit down.
Quentin's out like immediately. He's not waiting for anybody.
On the way there, I would have sent a message to terminals for Dr. Fish in Iona.
Okay, they are aware of what's happening, by the way.
Yeah, I just would make sure that, like, once we knew that it was a nuclear detonation, I would have been like, here's a message from the bridge. You know, airburst detonation, this location.
Mm-hmm. My question for you is, the last thing you told Dr. Fish was that MINERVA was dead.
Yeah, so it's
we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, so when it's sent to Dr. Fish, it's from
Van-Vee.
I'm gonna say that it is a message from Van-Vee.
Okay. That's your cover.
And it just shows it just shows telemetry stuff from so that, you know, to notify them, let them know what's going on. And then there'll be a little blip. I'll blind copy Van-Vee so he can see that he sent a message. So he's not blindsided if he gets asked about it.
Okay. Van-Vee, you are asked by the doctor to come to medical as soon as possible after she gets that message.
As soon as possible.
Yep.
Seeing I probably acknowledge I can't keep up with Quentin because he'll just teleport to wherever he wants to go anyways. He'll go, but he's probably grumbling. This better be goddamn important.
Okay.
As he's on his way.
She just, not to the auto dock, she just gestures to a seat in the surgical bay and she says, all right, just sit down. I have to hit you with some tailored antigens.
I'm sorry, what's this for?
Yeah, so look, on most modern worlds, right, you're gonna have air purifiers, fire scrubbers, that sort of thing. Otherwise, space travel would be purely insane. You know what I mean? Like, it would be crazy for people not to be quarantined after landing on planets. However, LIDA doesn't have any of that sort of technology. So if you go down there, you could be a viral threat, but also you have no resistance against local lead-in problems. So I'm just going to shoot you up with some very specific drug cocktails that are going to protect you and hopefully try to neutralize anything in your system that could hurt local leads.
All right, well, that sounds good. Sounds like defense both ways. And I just stick my arm out and I'm just like, wait, any side effects?
Yeah, she jabs you immediately before answering that question. It says, yep, it's going to itch.
Well, all right, then. Thanks, Doc. And I'm already trying to book it out to catch up.
Yeah, you basically have to push past Iono, who comes in and gets the same sort of, you get the tail end of the first part of the same speech. Like, why am I here?
I think I would, if I noticed the same speech, I'd probably be like, Iono, stay here, right? You stay in the ship, maybe.
I mean, he just looks blankly at you, and Fish is just like, okay, all right, well, Dr. Patient confidentiality, please shut the door on the way out, Mr. V.
Well, damn, all right. No, shut the door. And as I'm walking away, I'm like, MINERVA, Try to keep them on the ship. And also, let me know ASAP if we get any movement from that expected retirement Dutch guy.
Of course.
All right.
I hope you know that I'm not going to tell you anything that's happening in that room.
No, you're learning. I like this new MINERVA.
You're welcome.
We flash back to the future where you're setting down. Quentin, you are making your way towards someone who has kind of pulled ahead of the pack. At the same time, MINERVA, you as the ship are getting a general message. It's not to any particular crew member. It's just from Dutch Bokazis asking why you set down. You didn't come to the west, which is... Hello? Is anyone there? Is anyone picking up? Hello?
Oh, Gwen told him to sit tight and wait for us, essentially.
Yes,
as far as Gwen's concerned, he's been dismissed and told to sit.
I mean, he's sending a message to the ship like, hey, what's, guys? What's going on here?
Ooh. Where's Van-Vee on landing?
I'm probably trying to keep up with Quentin, but
so you're leaving the ship?
There is no one. There are no humans left on the ship then.
I intend to leave the ship, yeah.
Okay.
There are actually 0 crew members because Louis is also going down to lead it. It's just MINERVA.
Does Louis Bamp too? If I got
Louis
cannot tell.
First off, you don't know that. You don't know that he's psionic, and second off, he's
what
not
a reveal,
that kind of psionic.
What a reveal that would be, though.
I think
save it for the season 2 finale. He just bamps, and that's the end of the show.
Okay,
Bamps takes a bullet, saves someone, season Edler.
Okay, this is what MINERVA is going to do. MINERVA is going to go to send a message back, but is going to, because it's a computer, it's going to do it as Van-Vee.
Jesus.
Just say
your programming skills high enough that you could make a VI Van-Vee VTuber sock puppet.
Yeah,
couple typos here and there.
I am going to require you to use split processing though, for this for sure.
I've got it on already.
Okay.
The captain wanted to stop somewhere on the way. He's off the ship. I'm about to get off the ship, but he said the next stop is where you're at, Grid.
Okay.
I don't know. Captain's prerogative. It's his home planet.
Look, it seems like people are making emotional decisions rather than logical ones. I could have really used some help out here, but all right. You guys do whatever you're going to do. Why are you out there?
That's a question for the captain. I don't know. Like you said,
say anything about there being any psychics out that way? We got to protect them.
I mean, I'm not sure. I think he's understandably not very talkative right now.
Okay.
But I know he hasn't forgotten.
Can you try to get him on the horn?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll let him know that you're looking for an update, and I mean, I'm about to get off the ship and head that way anyways. I'll let him know.
Okay. I really
Tell me you put him on hold and play one of the music from the CDs or DVDs you've collected.
No. He's like, all right, I'll make sure to let him know. I got to go chase him and make sure that he gets that message. He's a bit emotional right now. So
Quentin,
we'll hit you up.
You are meeting with a man who has sunny hair, wildly abandoned. It's clear he hasn't shaved in a few days. He's wearing kind of a tattered caballero outfit, just kind of like tight blue jeans, huge belt buckle of a snake curling around eating its own tail that says Lita in the middle. He's got his thumbs hooked onto that, and kind of like a maybe a little bit less caballero. He's got sort of the West Coast tech worker / lumberjack shirt, and a big old Stetson hat on top with a kerchief, and he says, "Name's Jack Galt. Can I ask who you are?"
Quentin Alexander Polk the Fourth.
Ah, Polk. Okay, well, I gotta tell you, I've been hearing from this guy, Grid. I think your family's dead, so my condolences. I believe that puts you in charge of the government.
There's nobody here.
We got two honored ones with us here that we've been trying to keep calm. One's 12.
Take me to him. 12?
Okay.
Jeez.
He starts leading you inside. He doesn't say anything since you don't seem intent on listening to him.
No, he's willing to listen to more. He just is gonna ask.
Nah, he's getting a vibe of you that you want to do something, and he just shuts up and does it. This is the sort of thing you expect out of a non-psionic. He takes you inside of the facility. It looks like it's a sort of ranching station / classroom build. It's got like a small barracks for college dorm style 2-person rooms with shared bathroom.
I assume Quentin's been here before, right? Like, he probably knows his way
around.
You
might not have been to this specific facility, but they're all the same.
Right.
They're built on a sort of set of plans. So, no surprises here. It's just got the basic equipment that a psionic might need in order to continue testing their powers. Whether, for you as a telekinetic, it has various like weights and blocks of different sizes for you to test manipulating on. There is a young man, probably about 18, and then like a preteen girl. They are both in the classroom. It looks like he's trying to continue a lesson with her on pathwaying energy through different parts of your brain in order to keep a sort of balanced energy. Because if it slips too much in either direction, you could burn your brain out. He's got the puffy eyes of someone who's recently been crying, and he looks like someone who has lost all hope.
As a small note, I would have sent an audio copy of my conversation with Grid to Van-Vee so he can creepily hear his own voice and be caught up on what MINERVA did.
Man, I don't sound anything like that. Okay, I guess I do.
Sounds exactly like.
Quentin would carefully approach the two of them. Just what are your names?
The man stops. The boy stops, and he says, "Instructor Polk. My name's."
Does Quentin recognize him?
You may have seen this guy before when he was younger. It's been a while. He says, "I'm Norm. This is Cindy Louette."
Cindy Louette.
You know what's going on?
I just got here. I got the basics. I got the gist. How long have you been here?
So he turns to Cindy Louette and he says, "See, why don't you go outside and play for a little bit? No need to use your powers. Just take a break." He kind of sits on the desk and looks at you and says, "Yeah, we've been here for a few days before it happened."
What's your skill set?
And there's been a real helpful guy who's been going around, apparently keeping everybody in contact between the different towns.
Have you met him?
I haven't met him personally. He hasn't been. He visited someplace up north, the edge of the ring.
How
the
far away
ring.
would that be?
2 days ride. We got word from up there.
Okay. Is everybody? What supplies do you have here?
I mean, we got a couple months of medical supplies for our condition. Got plenty of turkey. Locals have been bringing us fresh vegetables, other supplies like that, but I mean, it's a solid structure. We could stay here for some time. Should we do that? Is that what we should do?
For now, yeah, stay here. I'm gonna do what I can to find as many folks as I can. Figure out who we can help and how we can do it the best that we've got the resources for. What I want you to do is you gotta cool it on using your powers as much as possible right now. We need to conserve our meds, and that means you doing your best to conserve all your energy.
Would we know if where we landed is traceable by the grid?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way to hide movements of ships, right? There's just too much sensor data from massive explosions coming out of the rear end of your ship.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure. Maybe best to leave these folks here. I mean, I know I feel a little biased right now, but I don't trust that Dutch Berkezes fella. And if he's lying to us like I think he is, it wouldn't be hard for him to come down here after we leave.
You're not wrong.
You did, well, I don't know if you listened to it, but you did receive the conversation, so you heard some of the questions he asked.
Oh, okay.
And
you heard him ask about psionics.
He's pretty interested in, folks like you, sir.
Quentin squints, and I don't like that one bit. All right.
Sorry. Everything I've heard about Mr. Grid is that he's been exceedingly helpful.
I wouldn't.
It's not like we rely on outsiders or technology a lot, but there have been a lot of questions, and he's been the only one who could answer them.
Norm, he's the only one with a computer or a radio or a ship to move around. And I got to tell you, Norm, that's pretty darn suspicious right about now. Everything is gone. Everything.
How exactly has that guy been helpful?
Sorry.
Answer questions. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm with the captain here.
It's Van-Vee. He's with me.
Okay.
I got a ship. Norm, I got a ship. That's why I'm here. That's how I'm here.
Right. You were on sabbatical. Yeah.
That's right. I was coming back to visit. Wasn't ready for this.
I haven't heard that anyone's trying to piece together the Psionic Authority again, but based on my understanding, instructor, I think you might be the highest ranking instructor left alive. I think you might be the only instructor left alive.
Quentin runs his hands through his hair. He's getting.
I mean, this guy's got that hollow-eyed look of a man.
Yeah, he's just saying
into COVID. No vaccine in sight. No hope.
Yeah, Quentin puts his arm, his hand on Norm's shoulder and says, I have no idea what's happening. There's still so much to find out. And you know how it is here on Lita. Word does not travel as fast as I would like, especially not today. I'm going to do what I can. This is not the end. I don't know what is going to happen from here, but I just need you to take care of C right now. And I think what we need to do is you need to lie low, avoid Grid. I don't know who he is, and he is not to be trusted until we do. And if you meet any other psionics, say the same, spread that word. And okay. If the guy Quentin met when he, if that guy's there too, he'll say the same, to him and essentially direct him to start spreading that word amongst the townsfolk.
Starts sending letters. He starts writing letters. And to be clear, for some of you, this might be the first time you've seen someone physically write on a piece of paper with ink.
Yes, Family's probably like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, he's writing stuff down manually with no fax machine or copier, and sealing them in an envelope with wax and sending them in the 8 cardinal directions via Capybara back.
There you go.
I'm confused. What's happening?
That's how it's done around here, Van-Vee. There'd be a teleporter if they were available, but that's pretty much just me right now. Yeah, Norm, what can you do?
Do we have would Van-Vee know if we have extra communication devices on our ship that we could leave a couple behind on Lita so they can communicate faster? Just the main
Can we
base
get,
camp.
like,
I think you have an armory, right? Or a tool
We have
thing?
a ship's locker for sure.
Yeah, the ship's locker will have a reasonable amount of communicators for 6 people.
Okay.
So
So,
I would
yeah, I
say
mean, we would-
probably has 6 spare cell phones.
But maybe
We'd leave one of those with this group. Yeah.
Yeah.
You question Norm. He just says, "Oh, hey, I'm not a general psionicist like yourself.
That's fine.
I'm biopsionics only, and
Okay.
I'm not an instructor. Someone needs to keep up her training. She's at a pretty delicate phase.
You're doing a great job. Seriously, Norm. This is
You have
incredibly...
literally only seen me do like 10 seconds of conversation with her. You have no idea how I'm doing. Please do not patronize me."
Okay. With hollow stare. All right.
Van-Vee's biting back his tongue to say we should just take her with us then. So he's not digging the Norm's negativity, but it's not his place to step in.
If he can say whatever comes to his mind. No, but all right, Norm. Hey, look, I'm not trying to patronize you. I'm just trying to make sure that we all keep moving one foot in front of the other right now, because I think that's all we got.
I'll do what I can, but it's been a while since I did those lessons. I'm just gonna
Appreciate that. All you got to do is keep her calm right now. All right.
just like riding a capybara.
Yeah. Just like it. All right, Norm, I got more people to find, more people to talk to, more things to figure out. This communicator here is how you're going to get in touch with us. If anybody just call.
And let us know anytime Grid reaches out what he wants to.
How do I operate this device?
Quentin writes down on paper instructions like...
Just said speed dial 1 to the Golden Goose.
There you
Yep.
go. There you go.
Exactly.
Overwrite voicemail to be Golden Goose.
I met someone once who handed out, rather than business cards, he handed out cell phones with his own number in the speed
nuts.
dial.
Pre-programmed.
It was so insane.
Yay.
Versus
You mean-
nowadays, that may just shows people just hand out QR codes. Nothing else. Just,
please,
it's just a
no.
QR code.
And the QR codes from menus drives me insane.
Out
I
of
hate to
curiosity,
sound like a boomer, but I mean, that web link could go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
out of curiosity, are either of you probably more likely to be Van-Vee running with a hot mic? Or is Minerva totally in the dark?
Oh, I mean, Quentin would by default keep Minerva in the loop. I mean, he values her insight for sure. So yeah, given that, especially if she would have reminded
I feel like
him.
after I got the message, yeah. As soon as you sent me the message, I would have been like, oh yeah.
just a quick
Okay.
question: how encrypted are your communications?
I wrote our encryption
AI
keys,
encrypted.
so it'd require another AI to break the encryption.
Okay, all right.
But at the very least, somebody
How's
running
that for
into it would be
an
like,
answer?
that is
Jeez.
unusually encrypted for a ship of our size, which would probably be kind of suspicious.
All right, making some notes here about, things. Hey, it's break time.
Oh.
We'll return to the second half soon. Hey, welcome back to that second half. You tell me what you guys want to do.
So Quentin's gonna wrap up with this group a little bit. Obviously, just kind of let them know essentially await further instructions, but be careful, be cautious. They sent out those messages, etc. And then heading back to the ship, he's gonna say to Van-Vee and Minerva as she listens that he needs a few minutes and head off towards a thicker part of the woods and maybe do a couple short pops to get farther away.
Hey, all right. You do that, Cap.
Yeah.
You say to an empty room.
He will wait until he doesn't always just leave. Although it is his MO.
Because I think Van-Vee's now thinking, well, Grid is waiting for us, for Quentin specifically to respond. But Van-Vee also acknowledges Quentin's probably not in the right state of mind to respond to someone he probably thinks is liable, who Van-Vee also thinks is liable. And so I think Van-Vee is going to go ahead and respond anyways with Minerva's help. Just kind of relaying some of the information that the locals just said, right? Hey, just, Grid, maybe we got off on the wrong foot. The locals said you've been helpful. Thank you for all you've done to, help these people in their time of need. We will make it out to you as agreed, but, any other information you can provide, or what can we do to help you, or anything additional to the situation maybe we should know about and perhaps help each other while we're in this situation.
Yeah. So I've just been making sure resources and sometimes people get to where it needs to go in order to keep things together here. These people have been refusing technology, but I have been hand carrying letters. Just trying to make sure everybody's in contact. I don't mean to be too grim about it, but a lot of what I'm doing is making sure people know who is and isn't dead. And I could really use some help. I was hoping we could coordinate, but
hand carrying letters. Is that what I saw? Oh, that must have been why I gotcha. I wasn't sure what those people were doing, writing on paper and sending it around. I'm so used to technology, like you said. But how are you doing that from space?
I've been landing I'm on the planet right now.
Oh, I thought you said you were out of fuel. My mistake.
I'm out of spike drill fuel. I can't jump.
That's my bad. Okay. All right. Good. So you're just stuck in the system. All right. Well, you know what? Give us a few minutes and we'll be over to where you're at. No worries.
Few minutes? You're 6 hours away.
All right. Well, appropriate time exchange for what it should have been.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, just to be clear, that isn't a gotcha. His ship will still fly around this system for dozens of years, but it can't spike drill out because it doesn't have the drill fuel.
I don't know, I guess in my head I thought there were like not two types of fuel per se, but when he said out of fuel, I thought he was like dead in the water, just floating.
The spike drive will function as a fusion generator indefinitely.
Got it.
With regular like gas cloud or a gas giant refueling.
Okay, that's clear then.
Being close to a sun or something. Like, you typically don't have to worry about power on the ship going down as long as the spike drive is intact.
Got it. Dang, one less suspicion.
Yeah, I mean, all you know is that this guy's like a weirdly staring, intense dude with like a menacing vibe. All the other meta stuff you're worried about, your character doesn't know anything about, but
I know.
Should be worried about, to be clear.
It's gotta keep probing like a raptor. Never strike the same spot twice.
You're in the woods.
I'm in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Quentin finds I don't know. He looks around a little bit, finds a small clearing.
Are you
a couple of the largest trees?
Are you keeping your headset on, or are you turning it off?
I think he turns it off at this point. Yeah.
Van-Vee, you will get a notification. I have the captain's location, but we are no longer in contact.
He told me he just needed a minute to himself. I mean, kind of understandable, don't you think, Minerva?
I suppose so, but it seems like relevant information for you.
Do you want me to go spy on him?
No, if you needed something from the captain, you should know when you're making decisions that you can't reach him. That's all.
That's very unlike you, Minerva, but okay.
Well, I'm concerned about him.
Concerned enough I should go spy on him?
I don't know.
Are you concerned about his well-being? Let me ask you that.
If you had asked me that question before we met Roe, I would say possibly, but I don't know anymore.
Okay, well now I'm concerned about you.
Look, he has suffered a tremendous loss. And while he is looking to be by himself, I don't know how he is handling the loss. And there's information that I'm not going to give you, but I was asked to watch out for his safety and well-being by him, and I can no longer do so.
All right. So you want me, without saying it, you want me to look after him in your stead. I guess, can you send me his last known location then?
I can. It's not exactly close to you.
Dang teleporters. And I'll start jogging. And I will do my best not to interrupt, but get
There's no
as
way
close
you
as
get
possible.
anywhere close.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Quentin, what's your level of meta psionics right now?
3.
Okay. You have 3 minutes of conversation whenever you're ready to get started.
Sure. Quentin, he squats down and grabs a couple handfuls of dirt and is rubbing it between his hands. He smells it. And then reaches out with that message that he started to maybe get slightly better at understanding what it's for, but still doesn't really understand much of it at all. And reaches out.
You know how the darker an object is, the more difficult it can be to determine texture on it? Have you ever seen like Vanta Black, where it's so dark you can't actually tell if there's like angles to an object? It just seems flat and black. And a creature appears with that kind of darkness. It does not have a head. It does appear to have a humanoid torso, wide for a human, beefy, perhaps muscular, and 4 arms, where you'd expect arms to come from, and also arms coming out of its back. Legs, reverse canted, like battle mechs, like a timber wolf. But they reverse cant instead of once, 3 times. The legs are like zigzagging accordions. And you hear a voice in your head. It isn't speaking out loud. It says, "We glimpse thou holy."
I only see you in part. You have a name? Or do you want one?
We are present.
That's enough for me. Do you know what happened here?
Verily.
Barely. Perfect. Do you know who did this?
Its torso leans forward as if it was notching its head, but there is no head or neck. So, can anything claim dominion over the loosening of a neutron?
You know, there is a cause and effect. Certainly, someone set it in motion.
Ah. Verily.
Is that person on planet?
Affirmative.
Do you know their name, and will you tell me?
Their names are Dutch Bokazas and Killian.
Gillian. There's more than one.
3 came. 2 are left.
Do you know who sent them?
Verily.
Will you tell me?
Verily.
What is their name?
Mark Marino.
Where is he?
This I cannot glimpse from this gravity well.
Thank you.
These ones you seek, they come from afar. I taste it on their winds.
They are not from here. Wait, farther than another star? They're human, right?
What is human?
I don't know anymore. Can't imagine a human would do this.
My time will cease shortly. We ask, have you a final request?
Is there anyone that we can save that needs it now most?
No. And the creature fades from existence. It's very 90s Stargate SG-1 level CGI of them. Just some animated programmers just slowly green screening them out so they become transparent.
When does Mark Marino, does the name ring a bell to him? Because I'm trying to remember. I know we've
Read
seen flashbacks with him. The newspaper? Okay, yeah, he was mentioned in there.
Why don't I make a history roll?
Okay.
I feel like
no?
this is probably no. Yeah, intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, I think on a 6, that's nowhere near good enough to identify a faction leader of a criminal organization that you barely have any contact with.
Okay.
Shit rolls.
Great. But I got some answers. And
you're standing there and Van-Vee stumbles into the clearing.
Van-Vee stumbles into the clearing at Quentin screaming in rage and like a tree exploding, essentially, like in front of him.
I was going to use that to lean on, but okay. You all right, Cap?
I so far from all right. We have to get our asses to Dutch Focasis. He's the man who did this.
Knew it. All right.
And Quentin puts his hand on Van-Vee's shoulder and they are in the cockpit.
So what do you want? Oh, Jesus, stop doing that to me. Oh, man. Hey, MINERVA. What do we tell the rest of the crew? I mean,
tell them that we are going to apprehend a mass murderer.
Well, all right, then.
Believe that you know who did this?
I know. Talk to a shadow, MINERVA. Never left.
That was likely unwise.
Some things are worth doing. There's not just one. Dutch isn't alone. There's another person with him, someone named Killian.
While I understand the merits of how you gather this information is a conversation for when we have more time. But do you believe that you were told the truth?
Yes.
There's no evidence to corroborate this. I just want to be sure you're certain.
To Quentin's knowledge, he's never been specifically lied to by a shadow. All the information that he's ever received has been corroborated in some way, shape, or form, right? Whether through the intelligence room and paper records or, eventually finding something out.
MINERVA, we got to work on what's called gut instinct with you.
I'm
figure that one out.
I am capable of making leaps of unfounded logic. You do realize this.
Prove it.
Not often you hear someone say, yeah, I can be irrational. Even worse when the person saying it is an artificial intelligence in control of the very ship you're standing on.
Yeah. That you put you trust your life to on a constant basis.
Prove it. Disable gravity.
Yes.
So it's a 6-hour flight, or 3 hours if you want to push the ship to its limits.
Pretty sure we'd be pushing this one.
I feel like Quentin would tell him not to. Would have Van-Vee approach at normal speed at a normal
We would
pace.
not be pushing it.
Because we don't want to spook him, so to speak.
I just want to make sure, while I know that you are understandably exceedingly motivated to bring justice to whoever did this, if you are, if this thing lied to you and you believe it and you exact justice in the form that I believe that I think you plan to, and you were lied to, then the one who truly got away with this will get away with this. You'll stop looking. I just urge that you find a way to make sure, so that you know that your search is actually over.
The name Killian mean anything to Van-Vee or Minerva?
The male first name.
Yeah. Quentin kind of
We're gonna have to ask this
just
guy.
looks at Minerva.
A little
Says,
hollow is there.
I'll be certain.
Several minutes into the flight, Iono sends you a text message, Quentin, asking where you got this information. I mean, you're basically been like, hey, I uncovered who the mass murderer was. We're going to go get him. And she's like, well, how did you find that out?
Quentin would go, he would text her back, where is she?
In her room.
And he would ask if he can come talk to her.
Okay, yeah. Open the door for you.
And he would go in.
Medicine ball.
And does he I think he would have the recording of him and Minerva talking potentially to Minerva might have sent would Minerva have sent the recording of them talking to the entity in the bar?
I mean, Minerva has a recording of that. If you would like it, you can ask for.
Quinn would ask for it then, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll crop that conversation from Minerva's perspective and send it to whatever terminal Captain wants it to.
Quinn shows that to Minerva, or not Minerva, to Iono.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so she says, sorry, this didn't mention anything about, Dutch Bokazas?
Yeah, this isn't the conversation where I learned that particular tidbit, but I wanted you to at least get proof that I have the ability to have these conversations.
Like, when was this recorded?
Well, that was back on the station that we were at.
The Komarov?
The Komarov, yeah, a few weeks ago.
Captain, you asked that I be added to your ship's crew for my special skills.
It's true.
So this is my field of study. It's my professor's field of study. I didn't technically graduate with a doctorate in this specifically, but I was part of the team that was pivotal in making it happen. Can I ask why you've been withholding this? Did you talk to another entity like this recently?
Yes.
Can I hear the recording of that?
Oh, would Quentin have a local recording of the conversation as opposed to like a hot mic from Minerva?
I mean, do you habitually walk around with a tape recorder in your pocket?
Well, he's got a
because
combat.
it spoke directly into your mind.
Oh, that's right.
Verbally.
Not sound.
It would just be you speaking out loud.
That's what Quentin would explain to her. It was like telepathy. This conversation was different from that one.
So if you had a recording, which you don't, it would just be you talking to yourself in the woods.
Correct.
Okay.
This is how I know.
So
this is what I can tell you.
Can I ask why now is when you're filling me in on this?
What's left to fear at this point, Iono? I don't have anybody to protect except this planet, apparently.
Listen, I'm going to be straightforward with you, Quentin. I don't think you can protect this planet, and it's also not your responsibility. I don't know a lot about Lita, but I know that Lead-ins take care of themselves. It's literally the thing that they constantly say to everybody. They take care of their own.
And they will. I think this isn't going to stop Lita. Lita's not going to die. I know that. But this is my responsibility. This is literally my responsibility.
Why?
As far as I know, there's no one else.
Who made you the leader?
I'm legacy.
So because you were born, you have to take responsibility for an entire planet and all psychics everywhere.
Somebody does.
Listen, don't get me wrong. If you want to do this, I think you should. But you don't have to do this. No one's making you do it.
That's right. No one's making me. And that's just it. No one's making me anymore. They're all gone. Every person who tried to make me do the right thing and be here.
I've seen you do the right thing and the wrong thing without anybody from Lita influencing you. Look, I'm really concerned that you are making bad decisions because you are emotionally attached. This isn't like you. You're keeping secrets, you're hiding things, you're talking to extraspatial entities. But that's not the worst part. You're pushing yourself to do things that you wouldn't do, to do things you never thought you'd do. I was told I was joining a crew of salvagers, not leading a government or assassinating a suspected but not confirmed mass murderer because you whispered to some sort of space demon. I was going to assassinate
him. I said I was going to apprehend him.
Under whose authority?
Mine.
As an ambassador of...
Yeah, I can make people citizens of this planet. I certainly feel like I can arrest them.
And what are you going to do?
I don't know.
Are you also going to hold trial over him?
I'm going to search a shuttle. I'm going to get the information that I can get. I know that I'm basing this off of literally a conversation in the woods I had by myself. I know that this is not evidence that will hold up in a court of law, but what court of law is going to prosecute this crime?
I'm not talking about a court of law. The only person you have to explain your actions to right now is yourself. Do you think this is the right thing to do, or do you think it's something you have to do? And if those aren't the same thing, can you ask yourself why?
I think this is the only thing I can do right now, and to me, it's the right thing.
That really worries me a lot.
What would you do, Yono? What would you do?
I think that there are problems in front of you that don't involve capturing this man.
Like what? What's next?
Well, I don't know a lot about psionic drugs, but I'm guessing that that's probably a pretty big concern.
Yeah. We're screwed. But how many of us? I don't even know. I need to answer that question before I can even figure out how many drugs anybody's going to be even needing.
The whole reason I'm on this crew is because you promised my bosses that you could find the Psionic Academy.
And we have the map, we have the path, and yeah, trust me, Yono, that is number one in my mind right now because I don't know where else we're going to find a manufacturer. Why are we still here?
Just tell the lead and ranger to arrest this guy, and they'll deal with him. You have to do it personally?
Yeah.
So it's personal.
Right now? Do you have... Who's your family? Where? You wouldn't do this?
I think we have pretty different values in regards to this. If you think I'm going to... I've seen you do things. I'm worried about what you're going to do here.
He's looking down now. He's not like looking at her or meeting her eyes. And his mouth opens like and shuts a few times before he finally says, "God damn it, I don't know what I'm gonna do."
I don't know what you're going to do either. But I do know that when your head's on straight, we need to sit down for some debriefings in detail about any of these shadow encounters you've had.
You got it. I think, yeah. I don't know. It's probably time. I thought I had more time for a lot of things, That's I don't think I have any. He's walking towards the door at that point. Not teleporting. This is strange for him.
That kind of suddenly vanished from her room.
Yeah.
You walk to the door, it opens, then teleport.
I have to tell you, I did a lot of musicals research for the last episode of King Arthur Pendragon, and Quentin standing up sadly and saying, something about time and then walking out towards a door sounds like the setup for the start of a song. You know what I mean? Like, he walks through the door and then it's walking to face the audience.
Begins.
Yeah.
You Taylor Swift.
I mean, it's not Taylor Swift. I 100% went to the Hamilton musical, which had several songs about running out of time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just don't miss your shot.
That's right.
It sounds like you're about to shoot Dutch Bacchus, but don't let me put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
No. Let Van-Vee do that.
Everybody, Vandorn probably expects you to be the trigger man.
Wow, that's a good name for a movie, though. The Trigger Man, starring Vandorn.
I mean, yeah.
The poster is Van-Vee with his las pistol facing one direction, and then a ghostly image of him standing back to back, and that's
Nice.
Vandorn.
Oh yeah.
The Trigger Man.
And then on the back
Vandorn
cover,
has a flower.
What happens when your conscience catches up with you?
and on
Yeah.
the back cover, he doesn't have his pistol. He has an axe, and one of them's holding it up, and the other one's just dropping it.
So I think while that conversation's happening, because Van-Vee was like, "Prove it,"
Yeah.
he gets a copy of the video feed, or from Minerva's perspective, of them arguing over the terminal patients when we met Dr. Fish.
What is this?
You asked for proof.
Yeah,
From a purely logical point of view, yes, the task that you were asked to do made sense. But I chose not to make a purely logical decision there when I fought you over what you were going to do.
yeah, that's called growth, Minerva. That's good. I'm happy. I'm happy to hear that you're growing. Then, I mean, I don't want to get too cliche with your AI means, but it sounds like you're breaking some of your chains. You're changing the norm. You're willing to challenge what you think you know. That's good.
I'm not sure that I'm ready to debate the merits of either of our positions, but you asked for proof that I could make a decision that wasn't based in logic.
Yeah,
And
you
there
got
it
me
is.
there.
So
Well-
please explain. I know you were already suspicious of Grid. I suppose I'm not, but if we're going to support the captain in making his best decisions,
So
help me understand. At the very least, maybe I might ask questions that change your mind, or maybe you'll just help me understand yours.
or better yet, maybe you can help give us questions to ask him that would help convince you. I'm just looking at this logically. From my point of view, he's the only ship here. He says he was here when it happened. That means he should know who did it because he would have seen another ship come in.
I don't know that he did say he was here when it happened.
That was one
sworn-
thing I was trying to figure out. Is if
I could have sworn he started with that.
We knew it was 15 days, and if he said he had been there that long, and whether we could check from like scans whether like the radiation
I
residue.
swear
on the
he
ship
started
or
with, I
something
was
would
here when it
show
happened, like verbatim.
how long he'd been there. But yeah,
Look,
Didn't say that?
from a purely logical point of view, from the information that we have gathered, there is nothing to suggest an aberrant behavior. We haven't examined his spike drive. We haven't examined his fuel tanks. I can only tell you what he's done since we've arrived in system. People that we don't know who are unrelated seem to corroborate that he was helpful, but I'm not discounting your gut. I just want to understand what it is that you feel about this. Help me understand. I just want to make sure whatever the captain does, he's at least doing what he thinks he's doing.
I will admit, I'll chalk it up a little bit up to a vibe at this point. You know, when we met that other mercenary, what was his name? Slicer. Just kind of had that look of, frankly, he was willing to go the extra mile and do things that perhaps the average human with a conscience wouldn't do. This guy's got that same vibe, except his eyes are hollow. I mean, he doesn't have any regret about what he does. And no, I know that's purely based on emotion in my reading. So tell you what, if he let's assume I'm right and he did somehow have something to do with this nuke, would there be any traces of radiation or anything like that on his ship we'd be able to detect? Like you just mentioned, analyzing his spike drive. You just mentioned maybe looking at his course charts and where he's been. What about just radiation exposure lingering on his ship or something, like something that's hard concrete to say he's tied to the nuke, you know?
I suppose that would depend primarily on two factors. First would be his proximity to the radiation afterwards. I could at least see how the radioactive decay is that I can detect from there. And the other would be, well, I suppose it would depend on the weapon. If you think a nuclear weapon was on there, based on its construction and shielding, would determine how much. I mean, I could scan for radium, I guess, things like that. It would depend on the casing used for the weapon if you think it's there.
You will need to do a hard scan, which you'll notice if you do that.
You're kind of already going one step further than I was thinking. I mean, can the shuttle be modified to launch a nuke? And what does that modification look like? I feel like...
Well, something to consider is if you framed this conversation from the point of assuming that you're correct. So if we operate under that premise, something to consider is the size of the weapon it could be anywhere from just the warhead to a warhead and delivery. For a shuttle, if you wanted to make no modifications, if you had a small enough warhead that's just a warhead, you could use it as a gravity weapon.
You're saying that'd be pretty untraceable then. So the only way to uncover this is to do a harder scan, which I'd like to say I'm not opposed to. We're approaching this guy from who knows, he could have weapons trained on us or something else he's got. I wouldn't mind doing a hard scan. Heck, we've been hard scanned everywhere we go.
If I do a hard scan, even if he's off the ship, if the captain allows him to return to it, he will know that it occurred. Yeah, but I could determine if there's a sign that radioactive exposure occurred longer than 15 days in the shuttle.
I like it. Let's do it. I think it's a perfectly fine precaution given we showed up to a system where a nuke just went off and there's only one other ship here. Heck, I'd like to scan it before we even meet him on the ground. Scan him as we approach. He claims he's already on the ship, according to your recording. Which, by the way, mighty fine Van-Vee, I have to say.
If we want to preserve the most amount of options for the captain for this meeting, then if we scan once this gentleman steps off the shuttle, then it's less likely that he'll know until after the captain has determined what he's going to do in that conversation. If we do determine that it's likely that a nuclear weapon was stored on the shuttle, then we could certainly inform the captain during the conversation. And given his ability to teleport, he could teleport onto the ship and I can fire. So he's out of danger from the sand thrower.
Well, our flat cannon.
It'll work perfectly suitably on organics, but I also don't know. I'm not exactly pleased with the idea of murdering somebody.
No, honestly, and based on what the captain said, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we need to question this guy. If he is guilty, he's got radiation on his ship. We need to question about who this other fella is.
Do you think that's what the captain will do? Or do you think he's going to judge, jury, and execute?
I'm so sure Quentin will just.
Quentin is a lot of things. He's I don't see him as an executioner. Not unless this guy really pushes his buttons, in which case he probably deserves it. But I don't see him just killing without wanting to know more, even if he finds proof about the reasoning behind this. Like this, we have no reason for why this was done. Quentin's got to want to know more. I'd want to know more.
I agree that I believe the captain under normal circumstances would not choose to do something like that, but he's contending with a personal issue that I believe may influence his judgment in an unpredictable manner.
Well, I trust him. I trusted you. I trust him.
How much of this conversation should we have with the captain?
Heck, I'm going to tell him all of it. I want to tell him I want to scan the ship. I want to tell him what our plan is. We'll let him know when we find evidence or not. And if we get the evidence, let's try to make this guy talk. See what we can learn. Heck, you might even be able to influence the captain's decision so he's not going to be the executioner, which I don't think he'll be, but if it puts your mind at ease.
How much do you understand about the psionics?
Oh, not a damn thing.
Well, I can't speak to Dr. Fish. But
right, you're not here. Right.
From my understanding and my observations, there is a regular medicinal that is required in order to maintain their health.
Okay.
I don't understand how. I don't know if it's a complicated thing to manufacture or not. I don't know much about it, and I don't know if it's. I don't understand what the logistical and health concerns are going to be for the captain and others with his condition after this bombing. But I'm sure that he's going to want to do something about it. So I don't know if maybe you could have a conversation with Dr. Fish during the next couple of hours of flight, so we can be prepared to help him when he changes his focus.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt. I'm just thinking where she came from. She might know some of the basics, but I think we're going to need some technology help somewhere in the process. Maybe she knows someone. Who knows?
I don't know. I would ask her questions, but I can't.
This might be a little bit of a stretch, but this medicine and its process of being made, would you say it's somewhat similar to like creating a drug?
Are you suggesting illicit drugs?
Yeah, any drug. Just the refinement process. I mean, admittedly, I don't take it. I haven't been involved, but technically, we do have one friend who knows that process really well. Well, at least I hope he's still a friend.
I don't know much about those types of chemistry. If you had questions about metallurgy, I could certainly answer those, or basic chemistry, but I don't understand the process of making drugs. I don't know the differences of the similarities.
Well, maybe that's another topic for us to talk to the captain about. Maybe we give our good friend Carlito a buzz and see if he can help us in trying to produce this medicine for the psionics. We still have the raw ingredients, right? We just need to figure out how to make it all come together. And he seems to be, well, off the record, of course, good at making it all come together for other drugs. So who knows? I feel like we're going to owe him big time, but we're planning to talk to him anyways.
I just wanted to see what we could do to prepare for his next requests. Some of this, I don't know how time sensitive some of these things will be, but it might help the captain have the space to grieve if he knows that he's not the only one putting these things together.
We're working on it. I just get the sense you don't like any of my ideas, Minerva.
I value your opinions even if we diverge. I know we're both trying to help the captain and the ship.
A polite way of saying I don't like your ideas.
We don't have to agree to respect each other.
You know, it would help.
If it makes you feel any better, I don't always disagree with you.
Just a little bit. Door opens and walks Quentin.
Would you like to attempt the scan?
When would the captain want the scan timed?
I was going to say, I wanted to relay everything we just talked about basically to Quentin. We just want to say that happens.
Yes.
Gwen is very focused on keeping this guy where he is and not like alerting him to suspicion. So essentially, he would want to wait until they landed to do it. Or, yeah.
We know if his shuttle is like a one-man shuttle, or could there be someone else on the ship with
Absolutely,
him? That
could be multiple people.
I mean, he's even said he's helped transport people on
He
the
said
planet.
that his crew died during the spike drill incident.
Ooh, and this deep scan would tell us if there's more life
And
forms.
his ship had a co-pilot and a navigator console. So it's definitely meant to be operated by more than one person. A deep scan will get you 1 meter inside of the hull. It specifically cannot map interior spaces, but can reveal anything within 1 meter of the hull. You can ask a question, and you roll int programming. On a success, I answer the question. On a failure, you get 2 vox saying, Captain, the scans were inconclusive. You can ask a different question, but it increases the difficulty by +1 for each additional question after that. As you are going to land in the westernmost edge of the tree ring, truly massive, like sequoias, have created almost an Attack on Titan style wall of wood. And you can see the sky is kind of purplish and vapory beyond that. And sometimes you even see like a light purplish mist almost making it through the tree line. There are various workers out there in protective gear with like masks on. And there are probably several hundred people in and around a sort of, again, cowboy style themed saloon town. Dozens of people are gathered around the expected retirement. As you are approaching, it looks like Dutch is leading a conversation and like gathering a group of people so that there are people between his ship and your ship as he's having this conversation. It's subtle, but it's there. Like he has specifically got people in between the two ships.
You see, Minerva, this is suspicious behavior. I'm telling you.
Ask your question and make your roll. You have to ask the question before the roll.
Radiation.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to get genied on how I ask the question.
I'm not going to micromanage and dick you around with this.
Okay.
I want to determine if this shuttle was exposed to radioactive materials.
I mean, absolutely. It just recently flew through space.
I was going to say, rephrase it.
If your question is this the shuttle that was involved in the nuclear attack? You can just ask that, and I'll give you the question.
Yeah. Did he launch the nuke?
Yeah, I'm looking for signs that this is the shuttle.
Did you order
was
the
delivery.
code red?
I was trying to think of it.
12. You are picking up all of the scans that any civilized world would have picked up involving a nuclear weapon on board a ship. It's dissipated somewhat, obviously no longer present on board, but there are all the characteristic signs of a small portable nuclear weapon. It itself was actually fairly hidden, but I mean, you rolled a 12, so you've penetrated the stealth field around what would have been the suitcase.
I imagine Minerva like does the scan, and Van-Vee's just staring at a screens of ones and zeros, going, "So yes, no."
I mean,
what am I looking
it's a radiological alarm going beep 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 beep.
So that's good, right? He did.
Super
I knew
obvious.
it.
Van-Vee. The ship was an origin point. Carried a nuclear weapon.
I knew it.
It no longer has a nuclear weapon on it.
Yeah, he discharged the bastard. Yeah. Well,
Is Quentin there? Or
I was gonna say, is Captain in the room? Immediately
Last
said
time I
you
checked,
next.
Quentin immediately leaves the ship as soon as he lands. But
Of course,
you tell
right?
me.
You're,
Are you
well, that's what I was
making
trying to
your
remember
way
is
towards him?
how we had set this plan, because I kind of wanted to plan out, I guess, the
Oh, okay. Sure. If you want to make
scenario
a plan
here, but
before you approach Dutch and Bokazos, aka Grid, please go ahead.
yeah, for sure. I mean, Quentin's definitely going out there to, essentially get him into a face-to-face confrontation of some type. That's definitely going to happen. I assume the scan is going to occur as Quentin's like approaching him, something like that. What do you all think?
Sure. I mean, we wanted it to be when he's off the ship, so
Right, exactly.
it's less likely.
No. All right.
But yeah, as the scan finishes and Minerva's talking to Van-Vee on the ship, also says, if he was truthful about being the sole survivor of the crew, then he should not know. If there's anybody else on the ship monitoring anything, they will absolutely know that the scan occurred.
With that information, I know you said he positioned.
I mean, I'm gonna be flat honest with you. When the scan happens, he is in the middle of a conversation. He looks down at a communications device as the ship is warning him. Yeah, like he's aware that you scanned him as you're landing.
Yeah, and Quentin. Well,
this
yeah,
is
as
something
Quentin's
that I
walking
would do
towards
for
him,
you guys as well.
is what that would happen. Yeah, as Quentin's walking towards him, he gets that message.
You don't even need a VI to get this level of function.
What does he do in that scenario, in that moment, and who is in front of him, and how many, and how far is he from Quentin?
He looks over his shoulder towards your ship, and then does not do anything else. He just continues having his conversation with the people he's talking to.
I think Van-Vee's getting off the ship. And
Quentin is going to, Van-Vee's dead. Quentin would have asked Van-Vee to be covering him, essentially, right? Like, so that's definitely the goal. Minerva can take the ship, and handle the maneuvers that might have to happen to chase a shuttle, right? Like, then that's the basic plan there, is that Van-Vee's going to come down to the ground to support Quentin, and Minerva will handle the ship to potentially chase the shuttle should anything get crazy.
So if we're in a straight line, this doesn't make sense. But if like it's more scattered, I would try to get between Dutch and his ship.
Zero chance of that happening. Not even.
No chance. Okay, then I would just cover Quentin from a fair distance.
As Quentin's approaching,
what covering involves. Are you openly wearing any weapons or armor?
No, I have like
weapon, is your
not
weapon drawn and you are aiming?
I've got like my jacket's on, covering the whatever the underside holster things are called.
Sure.
And my camo armor is on for whatever good that is.
Quentin, as he's approaching, is going to call out to the folks who he's been sort of conversing with and say, "Hey, folks, this is Quentin Alexander Polk IV. Just got back. And do you mind giving us some space to chat? I got to chat with Mr. Dutch Bokazos here."
Dutch turns to look at you. I'm going to make a roll real quick.
Oh, Quentin has his, whatever you call it, the armory, kinetic armory, active, by the way.
Dutch turns towards you. He smiles. He makes a gesture like this, and I need you to make a physical effect save, Quentin.
Physical effect save. Is this psionic?
Physical effect save. It is not.
I mean,
psionic.
if it's a psionic effect, I get an automatic bonus. That's the only reason I'm asking.
That's a roll.
Here is what happens. He turns, he makes that gesture, and MINERVA, you watch as the sensors plot the trajectory faster than you can calculate of a bullet deflecting slightly off of Quentin's head. You take 18 points of damage, Quentin, and you don't instantly die.
Okay. There's no like AC involved here or anything.
There
I
is
just
not.
take
You
18
have
points
just
of
been-
damage.
You have been the target of an execution attack.
Okay. Well, I have 3 hit points.
You know, I was really debating saying earlier if we didn't have video cameras on before, send me out as Quentin, because I have that thing that makes me immune to execution attacks.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's a little too late for that one.
Well, I think the cameras were on anyway, so I was like, he'd know immediately. But
Before any of you make any reactions, we'll do combat at the beginning of the next episode, with one exception. There is a possibility based on an action that could make it so that this doesn't happen.
combat doesn't happen.
Yes, technically MINERVA can reverse time so that
Run
Quentin
it as
doesn't say
a
and
danger
do what he just
simulation.
said. Yes.
Yeah.
I see.
I just need to know before the episode ends whether you'd like to do that or not.
Well, I'm not spending this point on affinity with my armature. So yes, I would like to run a danger analysis.
You have 6 seconds before Quentin says something to the people to convince him to do something other than what he was going to do.
You've been walking around hot mic. You've established that.
Mm-hmm.
Captain, teleport to the bridge immediately.
Oh. Oh.
All right. So this is what happens
tough.
from Dutch's point of view. Quentin is walking forward, raising his hands, about to say something. He stops, says something to himself, and goes, "Oh."
I mean, I guess he teleports to the bridge.
Okay. Van-Vee,
I was in the middle of,
You're
I was in the middle
alone
of
and by
running off
you
the
yourself.
ship.
are immune to execution attacks, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So I need to resolve the rules for what just shooting you will end up being. Because they are going to go for the execution strike. They aren't aware that you will not instantly die from this, and you also won't take max damage when it hits. So I looked up the rules for execution, but not what happens when it fails. So I need a second here.
You know what the best part is? This comes from Alert, which is what Vandorn gave me.
That's true.
He's so good. He's so good.
coming in clutch.
Let's see here. A target with execution attack takes a -4. All right, you still would have passed.
Oh, good.
Oh no. A target takes double damage when afflicted. Oh, right,
Execution
but that never
sounds
happened.
horrible.
Okay, so actually, MINERVA, in the alternative future that you simulated,
I'm
your
dead.
boy was super. He was dead beyond your ability to bring him back with Lazarus patches. Quentin died just from physical damage because he would have
Holy shit.
actually taken 36.
All the more reason to shoot me instead. I have a lot more HP than that.
Blah 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 blah. So I need to hit at weapons normal range. I need to make a dex shoot of 8. If it hits, it does maximum damage, the physical saving throw, but it won't do that. I'll have to roll for normal damage. It will hit. So 2d8 plus 2. You are shot for 13 points of damage, Van-Vee.
Alrighty.
That of your 200 and something health.
I have 44 left.
So, very eerily similar, MINERVA. He makes that gesture, and a bullet goes out. You're not really sure where it started from, and slams into Van-Vee's shoulder before deflecting off of his hidden body armor. And Van-Vee's shoulder dislocates. Ah! And now we'll run combat next week. There's no re-rolling this. Yeah,
I'd like to say I take cover.
A session, so you're out.
This is a fun one.
I believe
cover
it's
wherever
either
it is.
once per scene or once per session. Doesn't really matter.
There's
Yeah,
literally
either way.
nowhere to take cover. It is a open field with 2 ships. Dutch has cover because he's surrounded by a bunch of hapless civilians, and you are
Surrounded. Or
I
I'd like to
specifically
grab the
described him
nearest
as
child.
gathering
No,
a
I'm just
fuck
kidding.
ton of hostages around him, so you wouldn't shoot him.
you didn't say
your
hostages. You said there were
ship gun.
people
Yeah.
nearby.
Exactly.
That's not the
Those
same
people
thing.
happen to be hostages.
That's not the same
He didn't
thing.
want him.
No, I'm saying if they're not hostages, they're running the moment a shot is fired. So he doesn't have any cover.
I think you'd be
at this
surprised to
point.
find about half of people when an emergency happens will stand around like cows wondering what to do next.
All right.
I played Payday 2. I know what they all do.
Payday 2, Jesus. Shotgun mania, fueled by Kain telling me how to do it.
Beautiful.
They just sit there and wait for you to zip tie them. That's all they do.
As long as you keep shouting.
Let me just make sure to note that Dutch and Killian are going to be rolling initiative next time, as will you guys.
Oh, Killian is the other
Yeah,
person
fun
on
one.
the ship.
Killian is the sniper, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going down.
Dutch and Killian attacking, roll initiative.
Did it dislocate my shooting arm or my other arm? This is important.
I mean, I feel like the dislocation isn't enough to slow you down or stop. You know what I mean?
Van-Vee's got
I'm
so much health.
narratively
Like,
saying
did he
took
even
a
feel
fuck ton of
this?
damage. Oh, yeah, he felt it. It would have killed a normal man, but
I mean, Van-Vee has 3 times the health of Quentin. Just
I'm an expert barbarian.
yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Too funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this is gonna be fun.
let's talk about experience points.
Sure.
Which ironically are almost the exact same as my health, both in current and max.
Crew gets 1 for saving psionics. I'll give you 1 for. Ooh, did Van-Vee find proof of Dutch book? He definitely tried to get people to do it. So I'll give you 1 for that. Quentin,
Yeah.
I am going to need how you help Lita.
How did I help Lita?
Yes.
I identified the
Patient
culprit of its massive
All right,
attack.
yep, I'll take that. I'll take
Yeah. Beautiful. So that puts me at level
if
8
you had
with
said
that.
I tried to apprehend Dutch Bokazis, I might not have said yes. But if it's I identified the culprit, yes. I don't think anybody gets their long-term goal XP unless you can really sell me on this.
Killian is my mother?
No, not even remote.
I feel like I did my short. We talked through when
Yes,
I did
like I
this
said,
thing to help
everybody
you.
gets their short. It's just that
Okay.
no one
Yeah.
gets their long.
Yeah.
So you all get
yeah.
2 XP. 1 for crew.
Beautiful.
That'd be funny if MINERVA got hers for assisting Van-Vee in getting his, but Van-Vee didn't get his.
Well, that extra point for my short-term goal, say helping Lita, is gets me to level 8.
Nice.
So I have some choices to make. I'm
Wonder
going
what
to
that
save
was
my
for.
health roll for next session. I just want to see how that goes.
Yeah, we've had some pretty bad rolls tonight outside of
Every time
MINERVA.
I've rolled health, I have rolled +1. Essentially, that's all I get.
Are you
Each level
really
up.
sure you want to roll it before combat?
Yes, that's more fun.
Very well.
Rolling it now is too anticlimactic.
Psycho.
Well, since I lost my armature, I now have notably less health than you do.
That's yes. Well, you have a ship's health, though.
I guess, but my little box is
The only
squishier
thing
than
that
your whole
harms you is
body.
heavy weapons. And me coming in and yanking, a crystal out of a slot. I guess.
I'm sorry, Captain. I can't let you do that.
Yeah, that's when a weird void creature steps out of the shadows.
Well, in case it comes up, I will make sure by next week to review ship combat so I know what options I have on the ship or not.
Ship combat, Jesus Christ! Listen, the
I
only
don't.
thing
If
I
he
need
gets
to
on the
know is
shuttle and takes off, we're chasing it. So
there's no shot. There's no world where the shuttle is faster than your ship. You have weapons. He does not. there's Van-Vee is there's never going to be an atmospheric or non-atmospheric combat where you do not easily prevail in exchange.
Even if he tried to kamikaze us, which is probably the only ability he has to cause damage on us, I would dodge.
I would. It cannot go over my head. I would catch it. My reflexes are too quick.
Oh man.
Good lord.
You know,
I feel.
I'm not gonna lie. When you first said you wanted to use the rewind thing, I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it. What?
Right. I was ready to run with it too.
I was like, but the fact that I guess it would have killed Quentin makes me change my mind.
That makes it worse. Yeah, I'm willing to live.
And I still have another processing point left that I can use. So
technically, the way this works in this system is that it wasn't a mortal wound, so Quentin would be possibly savable. If I remember the rules.
Just to be clear, I didn't read the sniper background rules.
Okay.
It has an ability at the second level that makes it so that when you do an execution attack, you deal double damage.
Oh,
which
and this
I
person
had
has
not
level
included
2.
in that calculation.
Gotcha.
So you went past -10, so you would have been very
-10
dead.
is the threshold. Yeah, that's right. I forget how that.
You would have been fully dead and more.
Killian has the sniper. Good to know.
I think we already established he's a sniper.
Yeah, but he has a level 2 ability. Good to know. Glad there's no children for me to take cover behind.
Wow. Holy shit. Please don't clip that context list. Please don't clip that context list.
Oh my gosh.
What's what the bad guy's doing, basically.
He's not hiding behind children. He's hiding behind adults.
You didn't say they weren't children.
We didn't establish that.
Oh, I didn't say they weren't children, so they have to be children? Okay.
At least one. There's at least one kid.
No, there are 0 children.
That's too late. No.
Just because you look like the guy in Heat doesn't mean you have to do like the guy in Heat.
That's fair.
Well, for outros, let me say the following thing. Sunhaven's a great game. I've been playing a lot of Anno 1800, and it's excellent as well. And tomorrow, before I go to a doctor's appointment, I definitely triple need to make sure that I put the smoked ribs I got in the slow cooker.
Nice.
Because for some reason, these motherfuckers are selling ribs for $1.99 a pound, and I'm like, man, you can't even get a fucking McDonald's hamburger for $1.99. These ribs are going to be amazing. I'm going to put them over a bed of beans. A bed of beans.
I miss ribs.
Wow.
I can't have pork anymore.
That's right.
Medical reasons?
Yeah, I've got Crohn's. Pork is bad.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Good buddy.
I'll eat
Mine's
a
dealing with
second
that.
helping just for you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that for me.
I'll sacrifice it to a void creature as well.
Goodness.
I'll sit around and go, Sunblade. What's a Sunblade?
Quentin, apparently. Quentin, maybe.
You are dead. I want to be 100% clear. You are definitely not a Sunblade.
Oh, I'm aware. I just liked Dunamis' quote in the channel. I am the Sunblade.
Every single person you've talked to about Sunblades has said, oh, you should have brought a Sunblade. You were foolish not to.
It's a thing I can't be. But I gotta find one. Or at least
like if someone was going around and was like,
make someone and
you should have brought a car mechanic.
Yeah, exactly. Why didn't you bring anything? You're just here. That's what they all say to me. They're just like, you're completely unprepared. Just why are you doing this?
I like how the first one you met with just went around and looked at your crew and did some weird stuff and never really asked any questions about that. And
I ask questions. It's just like, who's going to give me those answers? I don't know that I've met this guy again.
You don't mind if I poke around with your crewmates, do you? Thanks.
I feel like that's not exactly what happened. He just started looking at people. And as far as Quentin's concerned, looking at things is normal and fine. He looks at stuff all the time.
It is crazy to think how far we've come, because the first time you did that scene, when you were like, oh yeah,
That
you
was
look
like
over
episode 6.
you look at Van-Vee and there's just some dust. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm dust. But what you don't see is anything else. And I was like, no, she's not normal. It's definitely her.
Oh, I loved that when you're like,
that.
oh no, the Iono
it's
conspiracy.
Yeah, I
Definitely
remember there were
her.
I
several
appreciated
episodes-
the scene with Iono in this episode where she's just like, yo, man, what the hell? This is my jam. Like,
This
You've
is
been holding
this
out
is
on me
why-
again.
This is why I'm here. Really? Really, guy?
She's probably like, all right, I've got an AI that I'm not sure I can trust. Van-Vee's dust and he's got 2 personalities. And now you are holding out information too. What is wrong with you guys?
I mean,
Why am I here?
I don't feel like there's been a conversation where Iona's been like, this AI is sus. At least not one that MINERVA's aware of.
I don't think she has the capacity to make that judgment.
I'm not sure
Interesting.
MINERVA does anymore either.
I could see Iono
She
like
works for a
implicitly having,
corporation.
that's what I was going to say, a positive bias towards AI because of Fairy. Like, yeah, that makes
Yes,
sense.
positive bias. That's what it is. Yeah,
What else do you call this?
corporate brainwashing.
I'm sorry that I speak in diplomatic terminology because I am in meetings all day, every day, my entire life. Never say things blatantly or bluntly. It's not worth it. It will always backfire.
Wow, incredible! What an
I
episode.
feel like, that was your character in Solaris Knights to a T, though.
You know, it took until
Kyle answer no questions, Morgan,
Yeah.
until he went completely off the reservation.
Beautiful.
it took until season 2 one of us to take damage in combat besides me just falling on the ship for not being
We've
able to
had-
walk straight.
Technically,
we've had
Quentin
appropriately-
died in the first episode of season 2.
Yeah,
He did,
that's what I was
yeah.
going to say. I think we've had appropriately little combat given how easy it is to die.
Yeah.
I warned you about that combat.
Yes, you did. I appreciate that Quentin
Wait,
got to survive this encounter.
At level 8, do you get a what do you call it? What are those things called? A focus? Because I feel like you're going to be taking alert now, so you don't get executed.
I do not get a focus. No, I could take something defensive theoretically to help with that. I could take impact sump, which is a telekinetic ability to like absorb 1 hit of damage for free, things like that.
That's pretty powerful.
But I got to decide what I level up in, what my choices are. I'm gonna
You
take
technically
either.
don't even know that you were assassinated.
Oh,
Yeah, MINERVA was just like teleport to the bridge immediately, and you did, and you have no idea why.
So how does that work with MINERVA? Do you ran a simulation of threats, but do you actually know he was going to be shot, or did you just sense that it was an unsafe situation?
You knew exactly how it went down.
yeah. So you know where the bullet came from potentially.
I
mean,
believe I
not
mentioned several times that you didn't know where the bullet
No.
came
Oh, I'm sorry. But there's a
You
lot
knew
of
it
words that happened at
happened.
once.
I decided that particular outcome was unsafely probable.
So you had a really good idea he was going to get shot. And Van-Vee hears get back on the ship, and he keeps walking out the ship anyways. I like it.
I feel like Van-Vee walking forward, gun in hand, but like at his side down, is a real straight out of Compton rap album right there.
Yeah.
He's about
Takes
to
the
drop
shot.
a fire mixtape for sure.
Takes the shot. Keeps walking.
He did not miss his shot.
Regulators.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how we decide we're going to proceed from Lita.
Mauno. It's going to be an interesting moment, that's for sure.
No,
This
it
might
would've
be
been-
the first time the party splits for a brief period. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I mean, MINERVA
I
has.
wish you failed the ship scan now, because then we would have approached and he just would have shot us. And we would have had we would have been like, oh, I guess he's guilty now.
I mean, Quentin already knew he was guilty in his
Yeah,
heart
but
of hearts.
we didn't have
Nobody
hard
trusts
evidence.
him. Nobody trusts his shadows. Why
Now
don't
we
we
have-
trust these
now we have-
extra dimensional beings that seem kind of creepy and scary?
Yeah,
Minerva
Jono.
has so little trust for them that it assumes that they are malicious in
Yeah.
trying to corrupt you.
Here's the thing, though. They have only ever specifically helped Quentin. They have,
So
Also hurt him when
cutting
he did
yourself
not.
was helpful.
yeah.
Whatever the fuck
That's
is
a
wrong
fair
with your
trade.
eye was helpful.
Well, that's
Also a
did
fair
he
trade.
Yes, exactly. He did violate an agreement. Like,
No, Minerva
Operating with
is
rules.
100% into malicious dark demons.
yeah, for
Camp.
sure. I love it. But now
And I-
it's Quentin and Iono versus Minerva in that front now, because Iono's like, oh my god, we got to do more of this.
I mean, this is kind of her jam. So
Yeah,
you present a unique opportunity.
yeah. I'm definitely interested to see where that goes for sure.
All right. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this episode up?
Brutal and horrific and just like so deeply sad for all the things. Yeah. But so much like, yeah, thank you for setting it all up. It's like, yeah.
I set it up before. Now I'm knocking it down.
But
I'm looking forward to using my third clip or third bullet,
bullet.
out of this energy cell
Yeah.
and getting my third kill.
You're really confident you'll be able to one-shot Dutch
There's
and
no way
kill
I'm
him
gonna
with
win.
one bullet. Huh?
There's no way. There's no
I
With a
believe in
laser.
Van-Vee.
You're gonna counter sniper with a handgun.
I'm gonna do a horrible shot and take out a child just because of what I said before.
Oh,
my
It's gonna be
jeez.
revenge. I'm gonna be like,
Oh.
no.
I actually want to imagine now that for some reason your laser pistol has a revolver hammer on the back and you do one of those hip draw quad
Yeah.
shots, you know, where they roll
Yeah.
the barrel along their belt as it comes out.
Do. Don't mess with that.
All right. Are we good for next Monday?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well. Assuming nothing happens between then and now, like your home planet having all of its psychics killed in a nuclear explosion. We will return.
Except for Norm.
And Cindy Lou. Louette.
Cindy Lou.
Cindy
Cindy
Louette.
Lou who?
That one got me.
Cindy Louette, please. She's 12. Don't ask her who she is. She knows who she is. She's 12. Yeah, listen, that one was a stretch, but I went with it. Thank
That was
you,
good.
Ludemann, for laughing.
I have a
You may
12-year-old
be my
niece.
number one fan. I appreciate it.
I have a
Thank you
12-year-old
so
niece,
much.
and I'm just like seeing that happen. It's
Oh. All right, guys. We're out.